okay.
Cracking them open already, are we?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 7, 2024 Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. We'll start the meeting with our Pledge of Allegiance. Deb, why don't you lead us? Oh, sorry.
Me?
Yeah, why not?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Those of you might notice a couple of new board members. Congratulations to Deb Giardino and Bill Euchner, the newest members of our board. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank Seth Ferguson for the past 3 years he served on the board and the wonderful job he did, and some of the ideas that he brought forward that we're still working on to this day, and all the years certainly before that he served on AdCom. Also, I'm going to mention that the 3 ballot questions passed, but that's only the first hurdle. We've got another hurdle, and that's next Monday night. Come on out to town meeting, listen to the proposals, and vote favorably again. Throw that out there. All right, so with the new board members, the new start of the new select year, we start with reorganization. We're going to reorganize chair, vice chair, and clerk. But I will continue to run this meeting through the rest of the night. So having said that, we'll start with chair. Any nominations?
I make a motion to nominate Stephanie Bowen to chair.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
Okay. Any others? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor of Steph being the next chair? Okay.
Can I just say one thing? I'm honored. Thank you. Honored. Thank you.
Vice chair, I would nominate Bill as vice chair.
I'd second that.
All right. Anybody else? Any other nominations? All those in favor? Aye. Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And for clerk, I would nominate Deb Giardino.
I'll second.
Deb, would you like it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Don't want to give you anything. It's sort of like a tradition. One of the two new members becomes clerk, and it gets you guys jumped right into the process,
I
which is
wasn't
great.
quite sure. That's why I didn't second. I was gonna wait till somebody else did it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. There we go. All right. New slate starts in 2 weeks. What date is that? I'll be
May
away, so I
21st.
forgot. The
Oh, yeah, you'll be
21st.
away.
All right. Next on the agenda, we're going to welcome our new Veteran Services Officer, Michelle Hamilton. So come on up.
Do we have anybody's citizens input?
Oh, I
all right?
apologize. Good point. Anybody here for citizens input? See, she's already on top of things right off the bat. No one here for citizens input. Thank you. Nope, now we're up.
No? Oh, I thought you might.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
We've already heard good things. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What should I tell you? I'm a United States Army veteran.
Good
I've
start.
been a business owner. I worked for a larger city as the Director of Veteran Services before coming here, so I've had pretty good education on that. I've also been a member of a veterans charitable organization for about 10 years. I was a president for 8, so I've seen the 501c3 and C4 end of it too, which is pretty good as far as community building and things like that. That's definitely something that I enjoy and something that I plan on bringing here too.
Awesome. Anybody from the board have any questions?
What town were you the agent in?
Fall River.
Okay.
So a lot bigger than this. which was good, right? It gave me a lot of experience, and I got to see a lot of different things.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank
We try
you.
to always have the newest members of our staffs come in and introduce themselves.
thank you
and
so much. I
so not
really
only so
appreciate that.
we can put a face to it, but the people out in
That's awesome. No, thank you
TV
so
world.
much.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you. Good luck.
Dennis
I-
has it.
Yeah. No, I was just going to ask you, any early observations as you're in the role now?
So this is my third week, the beginning of my third week. The first couple of weeks, especially the first week, was just getting acclimated, computers and bringing stuff over from the other office and all. A few things that I've noticed is there's a great amount of teamwork within our department and our area, so I really like that, and that isn't what you see a lot of times. So everybody's willing to step up and do whatever they need to do. A bunch of veterans stopped in during that first and second week just to say hello, and they've been awful supportive too. So it's been a positive experience so far for me. I'm quite pleased, actually, yeah.
That's great.
I did bring for you guys two invitations to the Memorial Day celebration. We weren't sure who was going to be in what position, so so I
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
just brought invitations for everybody. Would
start
it be
your speech.
okay if I bring them to you?
Absolutely, yes.
I actually filled in for you
You
a
did for one.
couple of years ago.
Yep.
Oh, Leah. It was Leah.
I think
This is for Leah.
I just figured handing them
out is a lot nicer
than just mailing stuff off.
Oh, absolutely, this is great.
Thank you.
And anybody who would like to join us, we'd love to have you with us that day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So while we have the Veteran Services Officer here, if we did the second one, at least she's going to have a little future involvement in this.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing you have to speak to, don't
You
worry.
have to speak to, and you can sit up here or down there if you want, but yeah, stick around for the next agenda
Okay.
item. So the next agenda item is the new street name, Eisenhower Lane. 2 weeks ago, we made a discussion, and what was the gentleman's name that came?
Neil Kaiser, I believe.
And I had a great point at the time. Oh, you're here, Neil?
There he is.
I'm sorry. And he had a great point, and that point was, when did we stop naming streets after veterans? We discussed it, we're going to vote on this one, but I think if you've had any discussions with Michelle yet.
I can update.
Huh?
I give you an update. So Mr. Kaiser's comments were well received and
Yes.
perfectly timed. So what we did do is planning has been in touch with historical and also with veterans. And so the group's going to get together and come up with a new list that honors the veterans for moving forward. So we have those names at the ready. So thank you for that. That was something that we just hadn't tackled. And now we can get that list updated. And the benefit is will be recognizing our veterans.
Please.
Ladies, gentlemen, anybody, I don't know if anybody else is on the viewfinder, so. Neil Kaiser, 11 Ridge Road. This past few weeks, I've also done some checking on different things, and I've been talking with the chairman for the historical committee, especially the other day, and I had a lot of people come up to me at the polls, because I help at the polls. And all day long, they were coming up saying, thank you for doing that. So the two new members, I don't know if you are up to date on it or anything like that, but I made a request for the veterans that have given all to be named, not just a street, a plaque on a street corner where they may have grown up or lived at one time, but the name of a street in town. To me, that used to be the way it was, and these people need to be recognized again. So basically, that kind of brings you up to date as to what we discussed before. And however you vote on it, I understand contractors and what they would like and everything else, and I understand all that. But I'm hoping that maybe, even if it's not this time around, from that point on, there'll be a list for you to look at for veterans and to choose the name that you want. It doesn't have to be in sequence, it doesn't have to be alphabetical, it doesn't, whatever, in any way you want to do it. And I mean, I have my preference, and I'm sure everybody else would have their preference too, as to who should have a name of a street. And I have a different request. I'm going to be at the meeting for the Historical Committee at the next meeting at the end of the month, and have a discussion with them about it. So I'm hoping that it'll be a nice plaque with gold stars on either side for the name. I'm hoping,
Yeah,
you know, but time will tell.
yeah, we're encouraged.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Neil, this is obviously, I'm assuming, for people who are no longer alive at this point, or is your intent that it could be a
It's
veteran either way?
the ones that gave all,
Okay, okay.
you know, and there's a number. And I brought it up because I'm a Vietnam vet, and the gentlemen that we have, the Vietnam veterans that gave all, I played ball with in high school, you know, even before that, and midgets and different things like that, when they were first starting midget football and whatever. So, yeah, this is just one of the things that I brought up, and I brought that up because I was involved in that area, or era. And there was a whole bunch of others that haven't been recognized, and they should be. So,
We're glad
Okay.
you're a part of the program. We're glad you're going to the historical.
yeah, no, like I say, I'll be talking with them
Right.
and go over them, and I'm trying, Mr.,
Forensic?
Francis?
thank you. Mr. Forensic told me that he will do his best to acquire a full list, because the list that he had, he says, was very minimal at the moment.
And this was where
So he's
certainly
gonna,
Michelle's
he's
gonna
gonna
come
check.
in.
Yes, and
Michelle.
I think,
We actually already started working on a list, so,
Awesome.
and I researched all the folks that you brought up as well.
awesome, thank you. You have a meet and greet coming up
Yeah,
at the senior center?
yes, sir.
When?
Wednesday.
Yeah. Michelle,
any-
come up real quick and just mention the meet and greet, because people at home can't hear you.
While she's coming, Neil, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
When you say given their all, does that
AIA, killed in action.
killed in action? Okay, that's what I assumed, but I just wasn't sure.
We have one gentleman, Mr. Kinsman, Lieutenant Kinsman, that was still MIA.
You have two. You have one from Korea as well, who has not been recovered yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that I did not know. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So we have
Neil
two.
Kaiser.
Michelle Hamilton. That's
New best friends, there you go.
Subcommittee, right here.
So our Meet the Veterans agent is the 14th at, what did you say? 3:45.
Great.
I didn't bring my phone in on purpose because that can be very distracting.
Yeah, no,
So-
we turn ours all off.
Not alone, we all speak.
But, no, so the
The
meet
whole
and greet
thing.
is next week, 3:45?
Yes.
Great.
On the 14th.
14th.
And had you not brought up what you brought up, I wouldn't have found that second missing in action, and that's kind of my thing,
Oh,
so.
wow, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. No, that's
Thank
Thank
great.
you
you.
very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a great evening.
But however you vote tonight, I understand, and whatever it is, okay?
We already started working on a list, so we've got quite a good list going of KIAs from Korea, World War II,
She
Vietnam.
didn't know what she was getting into.
I'm good with it.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for
course,
bringing
yeah.
it to our attention.
Thank you, Neil.
All right, having said that, and the discussion, so are we all set with, are you reading, Deb, are you reading the motions?
No.
No. Where are the motions?
They're in board docs. Or do we have a hard copy?
No, I think we have a hard
Yeah,
copy.
Katie's got the card. She's coming.
I'm going to have you read the motions
I'll
throughout
do
the
it,
rest of the day.
Sure.
So this is for Eisenhower. We have them all there.
So, yeah, we're at, there we go.
Okay. Okay, so, like to make a motion, so, do I read this whole thing, discuss and vote? It's been a long time since I was clerk. Discuss and vote, okay.
Just the
Oh,
motion.
just the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, motion, yeah, in bold print, right, Katie? A motion to approve Eisenhower Lane in the Ridge Road subdivision.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Can I just say one
Yes.
thing? So, just so Neil knows, obviously, this is ready to be named, and I know when you said however we vote tonight, for myself, this is ready to roll, and I think we have a plan going forward, just to explain why I'm supporting it this evening.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great, awesome. Next, we have a nuisance dog hearing,
Probably have to wait till 7:20.
oh, 7,
Yeah, we have to wait till the
it's a public hearing, so we have to wait till 7:20, so we are going to,
we can get Pat on, we work on Zoom on Pat, but then, yeah, maybe we can jump ahead to the Marilyn Rodman.
yeah, let's go to that. Change of corporate name application, is anybody on Zoom for that?
They might not be on because I told them 7:45.
Oh, do you need them for that, Katie?
Okay.
I don't need them, but
For Rodman?
I don't need
Oh,
them.
okay.
You know what, let's
But we
just,
asked
let's just skip to action items.
Okay.
Nice and safe. So we'll do a couple action items. We have to wait till 7:20 because it was a noticed public hearing, so we'll do a couple of other things
Prior
first.
to that notice, I'd like to inform you that Mary is a service dog, and I have filed a complaint with the Department of Justice and the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination.
We're going to hear everything at 7:20, starting at 7:20. Go ahead.
Okay, like to make a motion with gratitude to accept the enrollment fees for the Junior Police Academy from various attendees in the amount of $1,050.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? For those new members, you know, any amount over 50?
100.
All right, so I didn't have to tell Bill, but everybody else, we do. So next one,
Okay, motion to accept with gratitude the enrollment fee, different one.
Yes.
Enrollment fees for the Junior
Separately.
Police Academy for various attendees in the amount of $150.
second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. When you guys has to pick up where Seth left, Seth was the second man, so somebody has to decide to be the second man here. Motion with gratitude to accept a donation to support the fishing derby on behalf of the Mass Maritime Trades.
Mass Marine.
Mass Marine Trades Educational Trust in the amount of $200.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve the Select Board minutes from April 23rd, 2024.
Still second.
Second.
Okay. I think the Attorney General says anybody who's here, even though they weren't at that meeting or on the board, could still vote. But if you don't want to vote, you could certainly abstain. So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3 abstain?
Bill abstained.
Bill abstained. Okay, great.
She voted, Debbie voted for it.
Am I going to say motion to adjourn? No.
We got another minute. Let's pop up to Select Board update. So we've got handed out to us a schedule for potential next year. Go over it, see if we, any issues. Do we vote on that generally, or just a general approval?
Yeah, I think
on
we
it.
do.
Let's vote on it. Should we wait 2 weeks to have the new members look at it, or?
It's up to you guys.
I think the summer is probably the most, I mean, the others are sort of standard.
Yeah.
We did check for the
Because
holidays.
we're opposite school committee anyway,
Right,
so.
right.
we're
But the
pretty
summer,
locked
you know, if you have a holiday scheduled for July or August, take note of the week we're meeting.
Yeah, where we drop down to one unless, and if for something
Right.
important comes up, then we'll
Right.
add the meeting.
in. Then we'll add one. So if everybody's comfortable, go ahead, we'll do
Okay.
a motion.
Is it on the motion list, Katie? Probably not. Oh, it is? Look at you. You are good.
Move to approve the schedule.
Okay, yeah. Motion to approve the Select Board's schedule for FY '25.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, thank you. Got a couple of things out of the way. It is now 7:20. Is Pat on? Do we know? Pat?
Mr. Beck's back.
He's muted, okay. There you go. Nope, you're still muted, Pat.
No, I'm,
Can you turn him up at all?
can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, that's great, perfect. Yeah,
All right,
perfect.
great.
So,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. And I want to congratulate the new members of the board on your election. Welcome. And if it would be helpful, what I could do is give the board a brief overview of what the proceeding is tonight, so you'll have the standards fresh in your mind. The hearing tonight is scheduled under Chapter 140, Section 157 of the general laws.
Should we, Pat, well, I know you were just explaining it to us, but should we open the public meeting first or do it after you explain it to us?
Whatever you prefer, Mr. Chairman.
So it
Whatever you prefer.
doesn't, we could wait till after you explain it to us.
Sure, this is not part of the hearing
Okay,
itself, so
good.
this is just an introductory
Yep.
statement. I just, with new members, I think it's sometimes helpful to just explain the nature of a proceeding before we actually open the hearing and get into it. So, as noted, this is a statutory hearing under Chapter 140, Section 157. The town also has an animal bylaw that is supplementary to that provision, but the basic proceedings are outlined in Section 157 of the general laws. And what it provides is that when there is a complaint lodged, it can be a complaint by an animal control officer, it can be a complaint by any citizen, any individual, anyone can assert a complaint. When that is filed with the hearing authority, which in this case is your select board, a public hearing is to be scheduled, and the parties who have an interest in the proceeding are to be given an opportunity to appear and testify. And the board would then deliberate on the evidence that has been provided, and you have to make one of two key findings. You determine first whether or not the subject dog, by virtue of its actions as described in the hearing, is a nuisance dog, or alternatively, if the dog is a dangerous dog. And the distinction between the two is set forth in the statute, but in essence, a dangerous dog is a dog that has either bitten a person or another animal, or engaged in behavior that is deemed by the board to be a detriment to public safety. A nuisance dog generally is a dog that barks, that is annoying in many ways, but doesn't quite rise to the level of constituting a threat to public safety or the public well-being. It's essential that the board first make a determination whether or not this particular dog that will be the subject of the upcoming hearing is either a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog. If the board concludes that the dog is neither a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog, that's the end of the proceeding. If the board does ultimately determine that the dog is a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog, then the board can impose certain remedial actions or public safety precautions that the dog and its owner would have to abide by going forward. Now, for a dangerous dog determination, the remedies that the board can impose are specifically described in the statute, and there are 6 of them. The first is that the dog be restrained. The second, that the dog be confined to the premises of the keeper of the dog. The third is that when the dog is removed from the premises, the owner must muzzle the dog and restrain it with a chain or another tethering device. The fourth remedy is that the owner of the dog keep insurance in an amount not less than $100,000 against any claim resulting from any acts of the dog. The fifth remedy is that the owner of the dog provide information identifying the dog throughout its lifetime. In other words, he report on a regular or intermittent basis to the animal control officer the whereabouts and the status of the dog. And then the final remedy that the board has the legal authority to impose is that the dog be humanely euthanized. That's obviously the extreme remedy or the extreme measure that the board has the right to impose. So this hearing that you're about to open is a proceeding wherein the select board is the neutral authority. The animal control officer has lodged the complaint here. She will provide her case in support of her complaint. The owner of the subject dog will have a full opportunity to testify, to question other witnesses, to be involved in the proceeding. And any other interested party who's there at the hearing tonight, at the board's pleasure, can also offer comments or statements. When all the testimony and evidence is entered into the record, the board will close the public hearing. You will then deliberate and discuss amongst yourselves the evidence and the testimony that you've heard, and you will ultimately make your determination. As I noted earlier, you decide whether or not the dog is either a nuisance or a dangerous dog. If it is the latter, if you do determine that it is one or the other, then you would have the right to order the public safety measure or remedy that you deem most appropriate. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions before we go to, from the board, before we go to public hearing? Okay, all right, Steph.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Wait, sir, let's open the public meeting first, and then we'll open the public meeting from the board. Thank you.
The Select Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, beginning at 7:20 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Town Hall, 40 South Street, Foxborough, Mass., in accordance with MGL Chapter 140, Section 157, and Chapter 78 of the Code of the Town of Foxborough, to address a complaint filed with the board relative to a alleged nuisance and/or dangerous dog resulting from an incident that occurred on April 16, 2024, in the Foxborough Boulevard neighborhood involving Mary, a tan pit bull type female dog, owner Michael Sitar, of 40 Foxborough Boulevard, number 6202, and Gypsy, a black and tan Chihuahua, owner Kamani Walden, of 400 Foxborough Boulevard, number 4301. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place designated.
I'll move to open.
I'll move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. You will have a chance to speak, but we got a little bit of a protocol we've got to go through first. And the first thing is to hear from our dog officer, Casey.
And I first need to swear her in.
Correct.
And she is one of the people at the civil rights complaint against.
So, Casey, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So I think just the easiest way is I'm going to read my report that I wrote post the incident that occurred. And then I did kind of a brief synopsis of the emails. I believe you guys received all the emails that I've received over the last 2 weeks. They're pretty overwhelming, so I just kind of summarized the gist of those emails just for time's sake.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
So on Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, I was dispatched to 400 Foxborough Boulevard, the Lodge Apartments, for a report of a dog not breathing. When I arrived, Officer Nagel had already arrived on scene and was speaking to Michael Sitar. Mr. Sitar was standing with his dog Mary, a tan pit bull type female dog, on a leash. According to Mr. Sitar, he and Mary were on a walk. They encountered Kamani Walden and her dog Gypsy, a black and tan Chihuahua type female dog. The two dogs met each other and Gypsy ran underneath Mary. Mr. Sitar said Mary was scared and jumped and must have landed on Gypsy. He stated there was a lot of blood and his son Zach left with Miss Walden and her dog to rush her to the vet. There did not appear to be any evidence of blood on Mary. Officer Nagel had already obtained Mr. Sitar's information, and I let him know I would reach out to him once I spoke with Miss Walden. I returned to my truck and received a call from Foxborough Animal Hospital. According to the animal hospital, Miss Walden was there with her dog Gypsy. The dog was deceased on arrival, and they had observed bite wounds, and the left eye was bulging. They were waiting to do x-rays on the dog's neck since it was suspected that her neck was broken. I went to the animal hospital to speak with Miss Walden and the vet staff at this time. On arrival there, I entered the room with Miss Walden. She was very upset about the incident. I requested to view Gypsy and obtain some pictures of her. She allowed me to do this, but she did want me to do this in a different room from the one she was in currently. I left with the remains and went to another exam room. I was able to locate some small lacerations to the top of her head with fresh blood and a lump. There was also blood in the dog's mouth and coming from her left ear. Her left eye was protruding as well. I did receive the pictures. I sent them over to you guys as well as a copy of the vet records from that day. I entered the room with Miss Walden and asked her what happened. She stated she told Mr. Sitar that sometimes Gypsy is not good with other dogs. Per Miss Walden, both dogs were on leash. I did observe a small pink leash and harness on the exam table. She appeared to be okay. Mary appeared to be okay and Gypsy appeared to be okay when they were meeting. He requested they meet each other and she agreed. Gypsy at this time went underneath Mary and then Mary attacked her. She was unsure exactly what happened since it was very quick and obviously distressing. I explained a temporary muzzle order would be put into place pending a dog hearing with the town. I explained that I would not be taking Mary at this time though. I spoke with Mr. Sitar again on Wednesday, April 17th, to follow up with him regarding the situation, since his recollection of the events did not match the injuries. He seemed surprised by the bites, but did say it was difficult to know what happened since Gypsy seemed to be wrapped around Miss Walden's legs. He stated that Mary was on leash, but Gypsy was not. I let him know the extent of the injuries and that we would be issuing a temporary muzzle order and requesting a dog hearing with the town. I told him I would be requesting a permanent muzzle order for Mary at the hearing, and both parties were informed they had the right to be present and to speak at the town meeting. So that is it for the report. The email summary, so on 4/18 and 4/24, this is post-incident, I received emails from a resident at the lodge who stated she saw Mary being walked without a leash. She also stated in her first email Mary had charged her and her dog many times. She has had to yell at the owner to stand back while out walking their dogs. On 4/23, I received another email from a resident stating that Mary was not wearing a muzzle. These are all different residents that are sending these. 4/27, I received another email from another resident stating that they saw Mary not wearing a muzzle again, and this time they were able to attach a picture of the incident. 4/29, I received another email about concerns that this resident had with Mary's owner allowing her to engage too much with other dogs. She never felt in danger when meeting Mary. She doesn't feel that Mary should be punished for the incident, but she does believe that the owner should be required to avoid interactions with other dogs. And then again on 5/3, another email from another resident stated she had a negative interaction with Mary and her dog and observed this similar interaction with Mary and other dogs in the dog park at the lodge. She said Mary's owner stated she, as in Mary, could take it when the person stated to Mary's owner that her dog did not respond well to aggressive dogs. Also, she stated in her email that she witnessed Mary without a muzzle and that she witnessed her go after another dog in the lodge after the muzzle order was issued. She stated that she told the owner of this dog that he needed to report it. I never received reports of that. She also did not let me know what day that happened, so. I also, just a note from the vet records, they did state that there were puncture wounds on the dog, and per the radiographs performed, the dog, Gypsy, did receive a fracture to her vertebrae, which caused her to die instantly per the vet, so.
From the board, any questions for Officer Case?
You know, when I was reading the various background documentation, it's a little unclear. Were both dogs unleashed at the time of the incident? Or?
That's still unclear to me, so.
Okay.
She's always on a leash.
Both of them were on a leash. Gypsy
You guys will both have a chance to talk in a minute, but thank you.
It was unclear. I've been told that one wasn't, one was, both were. So it's it's not really clear as to whether or not they were. I did observe Mary on a leash when I arrived, and like I said, when I got to the vet office, there was a leash and a harness on the exam table with Gypsy, so I would presume they probably were both leashed.
Okay, obviously without knowing exactly what happened, where the Foxborough Animal Hospital is saying that there was, that the vertebrae had been snapped, were they able to, was there a puncture wound there? Is that from a bite? I mean, obviously the dogs are different sizes. Could that have been from the dog landing on top, or what, did you know if there was a puncture there? This might be a question you can't answer.
No, that's okay. There were definitely punctures on the top of the dog's head. As far as beyond that, it's unclear as to exactly what happened, so.
Yep. Do you have any other questions for Casey?
Thank you, Casey.
All right. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Satar.
Excuse me, sorry. May I be able to speak before him? His dog killed my dog.
No.
I don't need other people hearing his side of the story before they hear about my dog. She's in a box. It needs to be heard before his lies come out.
Excuse me, sir, if it pleases the
Oh,
board.
no, sorry. Hold on.
I just want to make.
Hold on, please.
Could I say one thing to you, possibly? I think, however, we have the order, it's just, in my opinion, that no disrespect at all, I would say follow whatever order you had planned, and we're going to hear from both of you. Honest to God, I don't think it matters who we hear from first.
My dog is in a box. It is disrespectful.
Pat, I'm going to defer to you. Suggestion?
Sure.
I mean, I have an
The
order
conduct-
that.
That's right. The conduct of the hearing is at the chair's discretion. I will say, in my experience in handling multiple of these types of hearings over the years, the typical order is for the complainant to go first, the dog owner to go second, and then other interested parties follow. But it's strictly up to you, Mr. Chair. If you feel there are some unusual circumstances here, you can change that order, but that's the typical order that is followed.
Then we will do the complainant first then. So you do have, I will have you come up and talk first. But you do have to be sworn in.
That's fine. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I swear to God.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You have to pick.
All right, please state your name and address for.
My name is Kiamani Walden. My address is 400 Foxborough Boulevard, apartment 4301. On the day that this happened, I was walking my dog back to my apartment. Say this is me and my dog, and this is him and his dog. We're across the street from each other, walking back. I view them beforehand. First of all, hold on. Gypsy was my service animal. Gypsy was a service animal. Gypsy never went after any human, never went after any other animal. Always barked and made herself clear when she didn't want anything, or growled, but never once. Again, she was a service animal. Never once went after another animal. So she was trained to a T by my side. We're walking back. He's across the street. He says, "You have a beautiful dog." I said, "Thank you." Now, I took a second to think about it before I responded to him. And I said, "You have a beautiful dog too." He engaged me in conversation. The first thing he let me know was that Mary was a service animal, which is a complete lie. So we continued to talk. Again, I had seen Mary and her owner before my dog even saw them. So I told Gypsy, I said, "Baby girl, we're going home. There's no need to engage. Stay quiet. You're good. We're headed home." Gypsy was completely silent throughout the whole entire interaction. Completely silent. Gypsy was I'm almost 32 years old. I don't have kids. She was my child. Anyways.
Take your time.
So at the end of our conversation, he told me, you know, the dogs are doing well. Can they meet? I said to him beforehand, right after he said that, I said, Gypsy's not usually, she does not like animals usually. She will not bite your dog. She will not attack your dog. But if she feels any kind of way, she will bark and growl at your dog. Again, Gypsy was completely silent throughout the whole entire thing. No aggression. She was... So, I stepped off the curb and walked out a few steps. I allowed him and his dog to approach me and my dog. I said, that's fine. They sniffed around each other a couple times. He's talking to me. I'm still looking at the dogs. I say, sir, your dog bit my animal. At this point, I'm trying to pull Gypsy away. Mary then puts her hand on Gypsy's neck and snaps her neck. Again, I didn't know until I got to the animal hospital that she was already dead. She was convulsing. She wasn't making any sound. I was trying to give her CPR. I was covered in her blood. The first time I told him that that Mary bit my dog, he was like, they're just playing. I said, no, Mary bit my dog. Again, like I said, I tried to pull her away, and Mary literally put her paw on Gypsy and broke her neck. Afterwards, he was somewhat concerned. He was saying, you know, Mary didn't do it. She must have rolled her neck on the curb. Again, I stepped off the curb and walked out a couple steps just to make sure that there's no anything like that. You're both on even ground. As I'm trying to give Gypsy CPR, he's telling me, he's calling his son, I'm calling the police. His son comes out, hands me a towel, hands him a towel. We wrap up Gypsy and we go to the hospital. Get into the hospital, they do what they need to do, and my dog is dead. And this is Gypsy. This is what I have of my dog.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions from the board?
I guess the only thing maybe to Pat, once we hear the other side, is there, can we ask questions back of Ms. Walden? Or you know what I'm saying? We can kind of go back and forth a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Each of the witnesses has been sworn. They'll be testifying under oath, so they can be brought back in for further questioning at a later point in the proceeding.
I have a question of my own.
Yeah.
Pat, is there a legal definition of a service dog?
A service dog is a dog that is specifically trained to assist individuals who have various types of disabilities. They can be physical disabilities, it can be emotional disabilities. There are different types of what are called assistance animals. Service dogs are a heightened level of training involved. They assist their owners.
Please, sir. Please.
There is no specific licensing or registration process in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for service animals. The only licensure requirement for any dog in the Commonwealth is to be licensed in its local community. So there's no standard, if you will, that we could look up at the Commonwealth level or at a town level to confirm that an animal is a service dog. And typically the only benefit that an owner of a service dog has is a right to bring the dog with him or her to various public accommodations where dogs may otherwise be banned. Service animals or assistance animals are legally authorized to accompany their owners to public places, to restaurants, other such establishments where animals typically are not allowed. So that level of accommodation is clear. But in my view, there's nothing that would exempt or circumscribe the application of the dangerous nuisance dog statute, chapter 140, section 157, to service animals. It would apply to a service animal, in my opinion, in the same way that it would apply to a non-service animal.
And one follow-up question, Pat, is a service dog, how would anybody know that a dog is a service dog, that they could go into a restaurant or something like that? Are they supposed to be signified by some way of covering or something?
I don't believe it's required in all circumstances, but many times service animals will wear their vests or collars or tags that indicate their certification by whatever organization it was that trained them and certified them as a service animal. As I say, it is certainly prudent for owners to make sure that there is some such indication of the animal status when taking it to a public accommodation or a restaurant, to verify the fact that it is in fact a service dog, but there is no requirement, in my understanding is there no requirement that they wear such a vest or a tag.
Thank you.
And I believe sometimes they, Bill, I've been told that sometimes they may wear the vest or collar or something, really so other people know, because technically you really shouldn't approach a service dog. You should take direction.
Correct.
From the owner. So I think sometimes people have them wear that just, so I just happen to know that. Not everybody would know that. One other quick question. Now, I don't even think it really pertains so much, but just out of curiosity, was Gypsy registered with the town?
She was registered with Plainville. I had literally.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I moved into the lodge 3 days before this happened.
Okay.
I have not been back since yesterday.
Yep. No, just a question. That's good enough. Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. We're going
I
to...
had a question.
Sure.
I was told that the dog could be taken away from him. I did not hear that option. Taken away from him and rehomed or trained.
Is that... did you hear that question, Pat?
I did. If the law specifically prohibits dogs being moved out of the town as a remedy, you can't order a dog to be relocated to another place within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I'm not asking for the dog to be relocated. I guess my question is, if the owner is not suitable for the dog, and this continues to happen, which I hope it does not, which obviously you hear from the animal control officer, he's not been complying, what do we do? Because keeping him with his dog is going to end up in somebody else's dog getting hurt or killed. What's the
That is not one
solution?
of the remedies that's provided in the statute.
Excuse me, what?
That is not one of the enumerated remedies set forth in the statute.
Thank you. All right. Mrs. Satel.
Do you mind if I go first, just to supplement some of Casey's
No,
statements?
no.
She's just my son, Dad.
No,
Okay,
you'll have a chance to speak,
Okay.
but if the protocol is,
okay. First of all, Mary's mirroring my,
please come on up here and leave with your son.
Mary's mirroring my emotions right now.
Mr. Stark, could I please ask
Swear you in?
do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have my real chart there?
You gotta grab it. Mary, sit. Now, sit.
Mary is not.
No, please, you got to be in front of the microphone.
Mary is not a pit bull mix. Mary is listed on her adoption papers as a lab mix. She manifests as a Rhodesian Ridgeback. You can see the ridge of fur that runs down the middle of her back. It's actually growing a different direction from the rest of her fur. That's what shows her as a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Mary is my service dog. I've had her since she was 7 months old. She does various things for me, and they're very private. But since it's okay to ask someone with a service dog, what are the two tasks that she's specifically trained for? One is she's trained to monitor, she mirrors my emotions, and in doing so, can take me out of when my meds or I'm a chronic pain sufferer. I'm in pain all the time, every day, never stops. And the other thing is, though, she does provide a certain amount of protection. Now, that's typically not one of the things, but she does it when I'm most vulnerable. I fall a lot. And if I fall, it takes me some time to get reorganized to get up. Mary's there not only to protect me, but to help me get back up. She physically assists me in getting back up. She has also learned directions. She knows that if I'm out of something, if it's a day that I just am not there, that she needs to take me home or make me safe. And she does that. So there are other things that she does other than that. But those are three of the jobs that she has been trained to do. So she is a service dog. I also provide a doctor's note to you today, and that speaks to, I'd ask that you keep that private, per HIPAA regulations. I really don't want that to be common knowledge. So Mary is my service dog. Mary has been with me all that time. Mary is with me all day, and I can't work. So Mary and I are together 12 hours a day, and at night she sleeps next to me. I'm a behaviorist. I have a master's degree in education and two other degrees, bachelor's degrees in education. I taught for 21 years. I was taught as a behaviorist. That's what we worked with. That's what we worked with all the time. So Mary is being trained by me because I can adjust on the fly. And Mary's training isn't just once, twice. Mary's training's all the time, every day. She has to be good. She has to be controlled, because if she's not, I can't keep her. I don't have the physical skills for it. But because she is so controlled and so contained. Now, when it comes to protection at the lodge, for over a year now, I've gotten death threats from another resident. Called the police, they've been out, and the last time they told me was, stay away, he's crazy, but he plans on hurting you. So if Mary's muzzled, then she can't be that deterrence and protection for me. And it's not an isolated incident that I fall. I fall a lot. I fall on an uneven pavement. I fall because I don't lift my legs up too high, because my muscles are so spasmed. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I fall and why it happens often. And as long as I'm on that property and that man is there, I'm at threat. I mean, he's made it very clear, saying things like, I want to make you dead. I plan on putting you under. I'm going to hurt you. I mean.
Kind of like how your dog did my dog?
Please. Tell us about the incident from your point of view.
Now, we were walking across the street. This is the driveway here. This is a grassy area. If you go that way, you go into Foxborough Boulevard. That's where Mary R. was. When we started talking, I put Mary in a sit position and a stay. So Mary was sitting and staying the whole time we talked. I did ask, can I bring her over? Because it seemed like funny. We were yelling across the street at each other. We didn't get far enough. Mary has a command sidewalk, so she knows that she is supposed to be on the sidewalk, not in the pavement. So when the dog came under her right away, she was really not sure about what was going on. She wasn't where she was supposed to, but she was standing 2 feet away. She didn't go up and approach the dog. I don't want Mary to do that, so I don't let her do that. I would rather, there's a just so you know, she has a nursery she visits next door. She walks in the door and she has to sit and be called over by somebody, or she doesn't go any farther. When people walk towards us down the street, Mary moves off to the side and sits and be polite. Be polite means you sit there and you stay until those people walk by, so that there's no contact. I don't like Mary in contact with other dogs. There's a few dogs that she plays with, like the dog across the hall. In general, we go down to the dog park by ourselves. We go for our walks by ourselves. We're very happy by ourselves. And yeah, I haven't complied with the muzzle because I already spoke to that. Again, being a service animal, technically she's not considered a pet. It's a very big distinction. She's considered a device under the law. That's actually how she's referred to legally, a device.
Could you tell us what happened?
Okay, so we went here, and Mary's standing, and the little dog was under here. Mary did have scratches around her vagina. They were minor, but they were scratches. Like, you could tell that something had been there. And I could see Mary, when she gets scared, her tail drops between her legs. And I knew then I had to take her away. She vocalized, but when I was pulling her away, her mouth was over the dog's rear end. His head was between her legs. Now, what I think may have happened, I don't think her legs are very flexible going side to side. I think they go this way pretty well, but not this way. And I think the dog was so far in. I mean, his height and her height, his head would have been up against her. And she didn't like that. Now, is Mary aggressive sometimes at the dog park? Yeah. She's a Rhodesian Ridgeback. All the literature says with other dogs, they're But there's a rule at the dog park that says aggressive dogs must be removed immediately. It doesn't say if your dog's ever aggressive, you can't go in there. It says aggressive dogs must be removed immediately. That's what I do. I remove her immediately. And then she's not playing with. And then I weeded out dogs I know she doesn't play with. We had never met this dog. It was unfortunate, and I don't want to sound like I'm being callous. I know what it's like to lose. That day was the 22nd anniversary of my 14-year-old daughter's death. That's why I remember it so well. I remember seeing, as I pulled Mary away, I put myself between Mary and the other dog. The blood I had on my jersey was on the back of my shirt, wasn't on the front. When Zachary brought her a towel, there wasn't a lot of blood then either. So the blood was confined to like where it was on the sidewalk. Mary had absolutely no blood on her. I don't see how she could have bit a dog and caused that much blood and still have nothing on her. A neighbor down the street actually came out. She isn't here, but she took pictures to show that Mary that she had no blood on her. So, but yeah, Mary can be aggressive with other dogs when they're playing or when they take her toy or, when she just wants to sit there and chew on whatever she has and likes to be left alone. This was, in behaviorism, this is like a one-off. First of all, we don't know what it was about what happened. It could have been that somewhere along the line, Mary associates that with something that happened bad in the shelter. We don't know that. But would it happen again? No. It's not the way Mary is, and it's not that way because I structure it that way. I would never let her go up to another dog again and get anywhere close right away. She's going to go through another protocol of going up, having to sit, having to stay, having to wait before things happen. Because if you want to correct the behavior, you train it. The other thing is I'm also stressing her a little more. When we walk, I have metal medallions on a key ring, and I shake it behind her and let it bump into her now. So she's getting used to be a little bit more stimulation there. So in case it was just that she overreacted, well, then let's make sure that we know what her reactions are going to be. So I've been working hard on this to try and do this. But you have to think, though, this is my service dog. I need her for my life. She's changed it so much for the better. But even now, I don't take her everywhere because this is what happens. Like, this is a civil right for me, but yet you guys have to do what you have to do. But this isn't easy to come here and then hear someone say, oh, she's not a service dog. He doesn't have one. He doesn't need one. It's not just insulting. It's demeaning and humiliating. This is live. And what are people going to see? They have seen me and they've heard that. We went through 3 weeks of hell after this. People driving by telling me how they're going to take my dog, how, I better get the muzzle, I better get with the program, buddy. We had rocks thrown at our patio door. It's been awful. And I do have to ask this question. I'm 63. I have multiple disabilities. When do I count in Foxborough? When? I mean, I've gotten the death threats. I've had tenant-on-tenant harassment. I've had all this, and yet, it just keeps going. When do I count?
Doc, may I?
Yeah, I'm going to ask the board, so you may start.
Okay. So, first of all, Mr. Sitar, I want to say,
CTAR.
oh, ETAR, I'm sorry. I thought-
CTAR, like CE.
Oh, CE, okay. CTAR. All right, so I've been a dog owner my entire life. The one thing I would say is that dogs can be unpredictable, okay? I had 2 Cocker Spaniels, one of them yapped all the time. And if we would approach another dog, I could see that dog and she would never, well, I'm saying never, but you never know. She would never go at another dog. But the barking, I could see the other dog kind of stand back a little. So you said one thing that is standing out to me. You mentioned that that Mary doesn't always like to be around certain dogs.
Yeah, so that's after she knows them for a while. They've been down in the park, we've seen the interactions, and I don't, you know.
But yet, you invited her to bring her dog over.
No, we went over to her, and Mary stood away from them first. We don't go over, and Mary doesn't just rush up. She's not allowed to do that.
So can I ask you, did you ever say to Ms. Walden, I don't know if it's a good idea if the dogs get together?
The one thing I said was, whoa, he's getting a little far up there, because, I mean, his head was really far between her legs, and I was concerned. Mary drops her tail. A lot of times she's anxious. That's Mary, but I'm always watching her. I mean, if I was with Mary, my eyes would be on her talking to you. I would never turn away from her.
So my point is, your words, I was not there. I didn't see the
Yes,
interaction.
my words were...
No, hold on. Let me finish speaking. Your words said, Mary doesn't always like to be around other dogs, only certain dogs.
Yeah, but I didn't say, I didn't say
I'm just going
it.
by what you said, okay? So for me, to let the dogs get together was probably not a good idea.
You know, I think that's not giving Mary enough credit. You know, for 99% of the time, Mary is fine. And usually I know ahead of time when, like, I know my dog. I know
Okay, that's fair enough,
I
because
know when
you're the
it's time
dog
to
owner.
quit.
You would know the dog better than anybody.
Okay,
I'm just going by, let me finish for 1 second. I'm going by your words.
Okay, can I finish?
You just said that she doesn't always like other dogs.
And I think that's safe to say about any dog.
You're probably right. But you got to realize, when you're giving us testimony, I'm listening to what you say, and the first thing I'm thinking is maybe that wasn't a good idea for the dogs
In
to
retrospect,
be.
it probably wasn't. My concern is that you understand the process. Mary's a service dog. She has to go in and out of places. She has to be around people. And yes, sometimes people are going to want to interact with her. She's had to learn all that, and it has to be, for me, the onus is always on her. She's always the one that has to sit and wait. She's always the one that has to stay and hold her position. So I'm always thinking, when I were going over, I'm thinking what Mary needs to do. And that's what I was concerned on, what Mary needs. That's what, she did not move to bite. She moved to vocalize, and I pulled it away. And again, the only time her mouth was there was over the other end of the dog.
Yes.
Is Mary registered in Foxborough?
I didn't know that was required. I don't even know where you'd find that out. I mean,
May I read? This is from the mass.gov website. Certification and registration. Assistance animals owners in Massachusetts are not required to possess any certification or identification. However, all dogs, whether pets or assistant animals, need to be registered with their town and city, but there is no official registry of assistance animals. So service dogs do need to be
you
registered.
have a registry for them?
Yeah, we have every dog in town is supposed to be licensed.
It's not, I didn't know about that she had to be registered, but she is a service animal. She meets all the requirements.
We're not contesting the service side, we're just asking about the legal side for being registered. Secondarily, were you given a notice to muzzle Mary?
Yes.
And did you muzzle Mary?
No. Because again, I explained to you that.
But you were given a legal notice?
Yes.
Okay.
But since the threats have been ongoing for over a year, They've accelerated lately.
And I understand that, and I
Oh,
appreciate
I was
that.
told by the police officers that my only hope was staying away. It's not a big place. You know, we run into other places. He drives his truck towards us when we're crossing the street. I mean, it's not a big place.
And
We did-
I
but
understand, I
did-
understand your concern, but you were
I
given a
did
legal.
voluntarily quarantine her from any other animals. So she wasn't gonna have, she wasn't gonna be around another dog.
Okay, but again, there was a legal requirement that you did not follow.
And, okay, this is where the tough part gets, okay? Is the legal requirement here, or does it affect my civil rights to have a service dog? Well, if you're, wait, can I just think about this part of it? If you think it out, that by not having Mary muzzled, she's meeting my needs. By having Mary muzzled might meet your needs, but she's not being the same service dog for me. And I can only have one. I have to go with what I have. It's not that I wanted to or would like to or thought about it frivolously. I take my rights very seriously.
So I had a couple of questions. One is, has she ever bitten or attacked a human as opposed to a dog? I got a lot of heads nodding in the back there, but
You know, no one's ever brought it to me. No one's ever brought it to me and said, hey, look at this, is it?
right. All right, well, so that was, one question. The other question is, you seem to be alleging that maybe Mary didn't kill this dog.
Oh, no, I do, something happened after I pulled Mary away. The last thing I see is this dog falling over. So I don't know if it was the action of her legs, his head between Mary's legs. I mean, that would be a guess on my part. Only because of, given the position of the dogs, and her mouth was over his rear end. I mean, I was
But
just,
the other dog is dead. It's hard to fathom that Mary didn't really somehow cause or greatly contribute to the death of that dog.
because they were both together. No, you can't. And I'm not denying that at all. I'm saying that there was an incident. A dog tragically died, yes, and that's terrible. It's horrible. But again, I'm asking for my civil rights. I'm asking for my right to keep my service dog and train her the way that I want to train her. If she needs to be away from people, that's fine. But again, she's a service dog. She has to go out in the community. But I know that there are people here who have nodded their heads, and there are people who don't like me and have had demonstrated that in the past. So I ask that if you hear anything else, you consider doing that. I do have a Mass Commission Against Discrimination complaint against the lodge, and part of it is tenant-on-tenant harassment.
All right, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let you switch with your son and have your son come up. He wanted to say a few things.
Can I take Mary out? She is just...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but I'm gonna continue on with the hearing. Yes.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you.
Name and address?
Zachary Setar, 400 Foxborough Boulevard, apartment 6202. So I'm going to speak from a medical perspective. I'm a retired EMT, and I'm going to just speak on what I saw when I arrived there. This was about noon when I arrived. I noticed a vast amount of blood towards the curb of the sidewall. There was no blood on Mary. There was blood around the mouth and nose of Gypsy. I did bring one towel with me just to wrap the dog up, because all I was told was, hey, there's a dog not breathing, not moving. Can you just come help? So I came in, I tried to wrap the dog up as best as I could, just covered the dog up, We got in my vehicle. I drove down to Foxborough Animal Hospital. She was talking to her mom at the same time. I did, give the mom the address and everything, said, hey, this is where we're going, but at the time when wrapping the dog up, I did not notice any blood towards the neck or back of the head. I did not notice any matting fur at that time. I did notice a bulging in eyes, which is typically seen in humans, and I did verify with the vet tech as well that it's seen in dogs as well as Cushing's triad. Cushing's triad typically presents in a blunt force or a crushing force. You wouldn't necessarily see it in a breaking force or a puncture wound.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
No. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hold on just a second. Yeah, come on up. No, yeah,
Me?
yes,
Sorry, I can't. I have glasses on, but I still can't see it.
okay.
I just wanted to. Do I need to be sworn in again?
Nope, still under oath.
I just wanted to read the vet report. Pet was dead on arrival. Large amount of blood coming from the patient's mouth. Blood pooling from her inner left ear. Left eye bloodshot and bulging from the patient's head. Puncture wounds found on the head, swelling of the patient's head. Puncture wounds found on the abdomen. Puncture wounds found on the neck. Right lateral radiograph performed, reviewed by doctor, I don't want to mess up their name,
Yep.
and found that the fracture of her C1 vertebrae, meaning she died instantly. Just,
Nope, appreciate that. Anybody, this is a public hearing, anybody else want to be sworn in? Come on up. You'll have to be sworn in.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I stand or do I have to
Yeah,
stand?
whichever you, well,
Whatever
but
you need.
I have,
if you stand, just
broken
move the
bones in
chair
my back
aside
and
so you can
stuff.
get in front of the microphone.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, I do.
Thank you.
Name and address?
Wendy Flannery, 400 Foxborough Boulevard, apartment 4107. Okay, I just want to state that I myself have seen him with
Who's him?
Mike, with the Mary, walking. I've seen her pulling him, okay? And he has dropped the leash. This is over time. I also have seen him, since this tragedy happened, first of all, he's shown no remorse to anybody. He's just very confrontational. I was one that said something to him. When I saw him, people had said they saw Mary without the muzzle. So I was pulling in, and he was to the left, across from the office, up the hill. And I looked, and there he was, with Mary, no muzzle. So I said, wait a minute, I backed up. I did not swear at all. So I said, hey, I go, where is her muzzle? So he starts walking closer, back down to me in the car with Mary. He said, what? He's at distinguished. I said, Mary is supposed to have a muzzle on at all times. That is against my constitutional rights and Mary's constitutional rights. And he just went on with gibberish. I said, well, Mary killed a dog. And I drove away. Did not say anything. I never thought to take a picture until another person that also lives in the building had called the police because she had seen it too. And I never thought about the picture until that officer said, did you happen to get a picture? I'm like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. So I do know for a fact other people have with the pictures. Mary has not had a muzzle on at all publicly. I'm going to bring up another that, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the post next door. It's a regular, it's not within the lodge. Each town has the thing. So there's one that's Commercial Street area, and I've been on it, people ask for help, offer help, different things. So I was on it, and I'm like, Mary Fitzgerald, and I started reading to a few lines. I'm like, wait a minute. He started posting on that. He was acting that he was Mary and talking through Mary and calling himself the human. It just went on and on. He had said something about somebody stopping. I said, yes,
Excuse
that
me,
was
before you
me.
go any further, does this have anything to do,
Yes,
I mean-
because in return, he said something directly to me on that post that if I did it again, he was going to the office and reporting me on section 8, blah, blah, blah. He has all the quotes. He said, because you're causing, what was the exact word? What? Hostile environment, yes. Don't threaten me. I did bring it up to the office, and they're like, don't worry about it. But bottom line is, he has no remorse and no respect, never mind for people, but for the law, okay? We were all told that dog would be muzzled until it was determined tonight at the hearing.
Thank you.
Have you-
And I just
before-
wanna let you
before we
know.
go anywhere, has he ever been aggressive to you?
No,
Have you ever noticed him being aggressive to anybody else?
meaning him or the dog?
The dog.
It's a her.
Sure, sorry.
I know, he kept calling him him. It's a dog. I personally, no, but I have seen her pulling him, like I've said, dropping the leash. I have seen her in the park, and yeah, she's just wild in there. I have not totally had direct instances with her. I just want to let you know,
Thank you.
I speak the
Casey, a
truth.
question.
Sure. But Casey's got to come up. All set, thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's other people
Maybe I should
too
wait to
that
the end,
have-
maybe other people, maybe there would be
Yeah,
more
it's up to
questions
you.
for her. You know something, just there's a lot of talk about his rights. Can you come up for just 1 second, 'cause I just want, so what you determined, Bill talked about the legal notice to muzzle Mary. Do you know of any reason why you shouldn't be allowed to put that stipulation because of Mary being a service dog, or the Mary's rights as a service dog, or his rights as the owner?
So my understanding, and Pat may be able to explain this a little bit better than I can, as far as the ADA goes in service animals, they're still required to follow the laws, i.e. they can't be a nuisance, they can't be aggressive, they can't be running loose, things of that nature, and we're still allowed to put things in place to prevent that from happening, just as we would any other animal, so.
Okay, so basically, not following the notice that was given, it doesn't matter whether it's his rights or anything like that?
Correct.
So he needs to follow what he was told he had to do, the legal notice?
I believe Ms. Bailey has correctly summarized the state of the law. A service animal's primary distinction from other animals is their ability or their legal right to go with their owners to public accommodations, other places that animals typically aren't allowed at. They are not exempted from the public safety requirements of general law relating to animals.
They're much more than that.
Well,
Pat, one other question. So I would assume that a service dog is not a service dog for protection of being able to bite or growl or something like that. It's a service dog is more supposed to be for the mental health or emotional health of an individual, correct?
Correct. Service animals provide physical and emotional support to their owners.
thank you. Thank you. Someone else wanted to speak?
If I can make quickly, guys.
No, we have some other people who haven't talked yet.
You're going to need to be sworn in.
That's fine. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Name and address?
Gretchen Ann Bartol, P.O. Box 2383, Plainville, Mass. I am a survivor of domestic violence. Though I do live in that community, I don't want to give out my exact address. And I am friendly with Mike and Mary, as is my 10-year-old, well, at the time, granddaughter, when she had met Mike. They have a really good relationship. I can honestly say that my granddaughter, when walking Mary, has more control over Mary than Mike has control over Mary. I have been in the dog park when my granddaughter's been in there with Mike and other dogs in the community. If my granddaughter is in there, Mary wants my granddaughter's attention, as other dogs, because she's a dog lover. When a new tenant moved in to my building, it was a white fluffy dog. The dog's name was River. Mary chased the owner out of the dog park, nipping at the owner's ankle, breaking the skin, and he had to jump over the fence where he lost a shoe, and he lost his phone. And Mike ran across the dog park, sliding to get Mary. And
Just out of curiosity, were you there and witnessed it, or?
yes, I was.
Okay.
And I'm glad my granddaughter was going into the house to get a treat at the time because I didn't want her to just see it. I notified the lodge manager at the time to let them know exactly what happened because I was sure that other people that were there would say something. He is very honest when he says that there has been tenant harassment. However, as much as I respect this man and his honesty and his education and his knowledge, he puts himself willfully into situations where it will be hostile and aggressive. This man, Paul, though he has been aggressive towards him, has also been polite and has asked him over 100 times, though you have a right to go back to the conservation land, please don't go back there with your dog, because the dog riles up his dog and his wife has cancer. Now, out of respect for being neighborly, you would think that another neighbor would not bring their dog back there to rile up a dog that's going to excite a woman who is going through cancer treatment.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Do I have to go defend again?
We're going to let people who haven't speak first.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a seat, name and address.
Al Shaheen, live in Lodge, Foxborough, apartment 7303. I never met this woman before, but what they say, the incident, I guarantee that's exactly what happened because I've seen him so many times walking the dog, and he'll go up to another dog and say, oh, Mary just wants to say hi. And I've seen the dog get aggressive. My dog, Reba's friendly, one of the friendliest dogs ever, and a couple of times I'd walk Reba, he'd come over and would say, oh, Mary wants to say hi, and the dog would start jumping at the other dog, so I know that's exactly what happened. And as for the dog, River, I saw that also. I was outside the fence, and I saw Mary chase the white dog, and the kid was running, like, out of the yard there to get over the fence. And also for the, for the papers for the dog to be a service dog, I would go once in a while over to the Plain Ridge Casino with my dog, and a couple of times I said she was a service dog, but she's not, and they would ask for papers. So there are papers if you do have a service dog, because they would ask me if she had any papers, and I didn't have any, because she wasn't a service dog or anything, but, I mean,
Thanks for your honesty.
Yeah, thank you.
Hate when that happens.
Thank you. Oh, any questions?
no,
Thank you.
okay.
Anybody else back row want to speak? Did you want to follow up at all yet?
Not necessarily.
Okay, before I wanted to come full circle around again.
If I can ask a question.
Wait, up front. You gotta go up front. Sorry, there's no microphone back there.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure I could ask it. So, my question is for Casey. Casey, when you handed me the muzzle order, you stated that was perfectly okay if we were in isolated areas, so early mornings, early afternoons, or if we were in areas of the woods where people wouldn't be. So that's where she was. That's where she was being walked. But it sounds like that's kind of contradictory to what you were previously saying. Is that? Are we rejecting statements now?
So not to get into back and forth, he said, she said, but when I issued the muzzle order, I was asked by them if they would be allowed to do that. I told them that it would not be a good idea since it was a muzzle order and she's supposed to be muzzled anytime she's outside of the apartment.
I will still argue that's not what she said. Again, we asked her this multiple times just to make sure we were very clear on it, because we even asked her to show us how to make sure the muzzle was properly set, as we did a quick rush job when I got it at first.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. You may, yeah.
You know, I've heard a lot of things I didn't know before. I just want to reiterate, certain people who are here tonight have been a part of that tenant-on-tenant harassment. So please take what you hear with a grain of salt. It's been pervasive. In fact, someone here was actually suspected in a burglary at my house. Okay, it was medication, and they were the only one who knew I had it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so, but Mary is, Mary, I just want to say, Mary hasn't stopped training. It's all the time, because I have to keep refining it because my skills are degenerating. So that I'm always having to adapt. I fell down the stairs and I couldn't walk up the stairs with her anymore. So I trained her so that she goes up the stairs by herself and waits at the top of the stairs and has to maintain eye contact with me. I mean, it's so set up and she has to maintain it with me.
Thank you.
So it's a constant process because, again, my skills are always degenerating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before you close the public hearing, I think it would be a good idea just to identify for the record any documents that have been submitted to the board, just so that they're identified in the hearing. I believe that Katie and the town manager would likely have them.
Okay, and that's a good point. But do you want to say one more thing quickly? Yeah, go ahead. Up front.
So when you sign a lease for the lodge, you sign a lease saying that in all public areas, your dog will be leashed and harnessed. Or however you have your dog needs to be secured with you at all times on that property. And obviously it's not, I also wanted to submit this if it's not been already submitted.
Is that the vet report?
Yes,
Oh,
it
sorry, I
is.
should have let you say that.
Is that the vet report?
It is.
But I believe that's part of your report, Casey. Yeah, so we have it.
Also, I wanted to note that when I got to the animal hospital after everything was done and I had spoken with animal control, one of the people that works at that animal hospital recently moved out of the lodge due to problems with Mary and her dog.
Thank you. Thank you. One more, yep.
Do I need to?
Still
No,
under
you do
oath.
not. You're still under oath.
Yes, at the lodge, if you have a pet in your lease, the lease paperwork is like 121 pages long. It states everything that you need to do with your dog. Now, when my granddaughter would be at the dog park, they would have a schedule when they would go in, and she would be off her leash and run to the dog park. He trains her very well. She's very obedient if she's the only one in the dog park. She's very protective, or don't want to say protective, she's territorial when it comes to her toys, who she trusts and lets in. And he, the owner, Mike, wanting to be friends, has said numerous times to new tenants, especially if you're female, my dog just wants to say hi, and it's his way to break the ice. Sometimes they say, is your dog friendly? That depends on if Mary knows you or not. It has nothing to do with anything else. And I mean, she will jump all over my granddaughter and lick her to death. But if another dog, no matter what size, were to come into play, she is very territorial on her toys, my granddaughter and Mike. And I thought that should be, because it's, a service dog is not assigned to you for protection, or I, as a survivor of domestic violence, would have been assigned one. They still have to obey. You still have to have them leashed, and they have to be in your control. And I know this because my niece has brittle bone disease, and the owner would have her muzzled because she protects my niece.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have a list that we can
I mean, we can
read
list,
into the,
we can list
record?
off the documents we have here.
okay, yep.
So, you want me to go? So we have the record from Foxborough Animal Hospital, printed on 4/17. Hold on. We have the muzzle order. Let's see, dated the 17th as well. Public hearing notice. We have the report that Casey Bailey did. Let's see. We have pictures. We have a letter from the town clerk indicating that Mary is not licensed or registered in Foxborough. Let's see. We have a medical note. Let's see. Oh, that's the medical note that Mr. Sitar mentioned from his doctor. We have a list of, let's see how many. Let me see if I can get to this. Complaint letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 emails, letters, or screen caps of, I think, the next door discussion that occurred. Those were all part of the record. And then we have a dangerous dog regulation summary that was, I believe, provided to us by Pat. I think that's it. Katie, did I miss anything? That's our board doc.
There was a question about Mary being my service dog?
No.
And just to clarify, Paige said, just so they know at home, obviously we know because we can see them, the photos, there are 4 photos of Gypsy's injuries that were taken by Casey. So that's what the photos are. They're not of the scene or anything like that.
Thank you. All right, I'll take a motion to close.
Going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now, Pat, we deliberate.
Yes, now the board deliberates, and having heard the testimony, Mr. Chair, I would just want to point out one legal standard in the statute, just for your edification. The board has great discretion in determining whether a dog is either a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog. What the statute does provide, however, is that no nuisance dog shall be deemed dangerous solely based upon growling or barking, or solely growling and barking. Number 2, based upon the breed of the dog. And number 3, if the dog was reacting to another animal or to a person and the dog's reaction was not grossly disproportionate to any of the following circumstances, one of which was the dog was protecting or defending itself. So there was testimony earlier about the interaction between the 2 dogs. For the purpose of distinguishing between a nuisance dog and a dangerous dog, Mary would not be deemed a dangerous dog if you felt that she was protecting or defending herself at the time of the incident, and her response was not grossly disproportionate to that circumstance.
Okay. Great. So here we go. I guess the first thing, if I'm not mistaken, let's try to maybe thoughts on nuisance versus dangerous dog. Thoughts one way or the other?
Sure. So, first of all, I mean, I want to, I am a dog lover, and it breaks my heart for us to have to sit here and have this discussion. But with that being said, you know, for me, I have to follow, I mean, this is what Casey does for a living, okay? She sees probably all different cases, dangerous dogs, I mean, so I guess my comments are kind of to Mr. Cetad, in general to the board. I feel like if Mary seems like a great dog. She's sitting here, she doesn't seem like a nuisance, she's barely barking, she's whimpering a little bit, I think she, when you were up here. So, I guess what I would urge, and maybe my urge to the board is, if we lean towards nuisance, I would say, I don't know how I say this without insulting. Pets they're animals, okay? And their owners need to adjust to what your dog does. And a lot of what I heard tonight isn't you adjusting to Mary, and that makes me kind of sad, because I don't think Mary is dangerous. I think what happened was a tragedy. I don't think she, you know, from what we heard, I don't think she went looking to attack, let me finish, to attack this dog. So I think, and you know what, when you start with dangerous, I think what happens is down the road, if there's another incident and it comes behind to this board again, we're going to have some really serious deliberations on whether Mary, if she's dangerous and something happens again, whether Mary is going to be allowed in this community and what the next step is. So.
Steph, this discussion's between us, though.
Okay,
I was going to say,
okay. I'm sorry.
Public meeting
Yeah.
is closed.
Okay,
There's no
okay.
interaction back and forth anymore.
You're right, Bill. So
what we're discussing is
yeah.
everybody's viewpoint.
Yeah. So
Before we go to the next.
Like, I'm letting the board know that if we went with nuisance, I would say there would be some stipulations that what Casey has already brought forward has to happen. And so I hate to see us go with dangerous and then that lead into something else. I think what will happen is if the stipulations aren't met, then it's another big discussion here.
I agree with Steph. I don't think it quite rises to the occasion of dangerousness. I would also go with the nuisance. However, I'm very concerned that any stipulation that's put in place that the dog owner doesn't like, he's simply not going to do it because of another level of rights that he is appealing to, and that would be his civil rights. So I would not go to the level of dangerousness, but I absolutely agree with stipulations, and I firmly believe one of them should be the muzzle.
I'm going to let Dennis, right?
Right, and I'm a dog lover, and I walk my daughter's dog all the time and my son's dog all the time. And there's no more dangerous situation when you're walking a dog that you encounter another dog, leashed or unleashed. You have to be alert, you have to be in control, you have to make a decision whether you want the dogs to interact. It has to be verifiable. There's a real responsibility on the owner to make sure that something like this does not happen. This has not been happening, you know, in terms of what I've been hearing. I default to the dangerous because, you know, in terms of the criteria for a dangerous dog, none of the conditions that justify a dog being dangerous seem to have been met, you know, in this particular instance, if you read the criteria for a dangerous dog versus a nuisance dog. So, you know, having a lot of experience with animals and, you know, at the end of the day, a dog died here, which is very, very tragic. I feel that this is a dangerous dog.
You just said that none of the criteria was met for a dangerous dog. Is that what you meant to say?
I'm just saying that if you look at the criteria, yeah, they were met. The dog was not exempted as a dangerous dog because of the criteria that have been identified here, like the dog was protecting or defending itself, its offspring, another domestic animal, or a person from the attack. If you look at all of those really, try to define the difference between a nuisance dog and a dangerous dog.
Look, I'm a little torn here, but I think my concern, quite honestly, is that the dog shows behavior that's aggressive towards other animals from what we've heard. It's not just what happened to one dog, but it's, based on testimony, it's that it's happened to other dogs. And my concern is, if the dog is going to be with other dogs, I believe it should be muzzled. If it's going to be out on a walk by itself, then the owner should be, told not to let it near other dogs, but that's going to be a very hard thing to do. So I think you're stuck with the only option is that the dog has to be muzzled when he's outside of the house for the protection of not only Mary to be able to stay with the owner, but for the protection of other animals and other people. I kind of agree that it does seem to rise to dangerous because of not just this one interaction. If this was the only interaction and no one made a comment about any other interaction with this dog at all, I would agree with the nuisance side of it. I'm just concerned that there are other aggressions, have been other aggressions, and this just happened to be the culmination of the worst of what the aggressions could be.
And speaking last, I think it absolutely rises to a dangerous dog. What disturbs me, obviously, that a dog died. Number one. Number two, the dog, Mary, was never registered. I'm sorry, ignorance of the law is not an excuse for not knowing that dogs should be licensed in the town of Foxborough. This is interaction, isn't an interaction. Number three, the total disregard of our animal control officers' emergency procedure of muzzling the dog when the dog was out. Obviously, the dog was not muzzled. Various reports, and I believe there was a photograph that shows the dog was not, total disregard for our animal control officer. And the fact that you mentioned a couple of times that, the dog, how did you word it? I apologize, is in control of himself, but he's a dog. You're supposed to be in control. You said that the dog was in control of himself, and he knows when he's supposed to do certain things. But you're in control of the dog all the time. And what frightens me again is the fact that there were numerous people that mentioned numerous times that there are times the dog does come out of your grasp and does run, even though it's on a leash, without you. And if there's no muzzle on that dog, and I don't know, I would be concerned about that. And I don't know if we name it a nuisance dog, whether we can muzzle it. I thought that only applies under a dangerous dog. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pat.
I think you could impose a condition such as muzzling on a nuisance dog. I think the way the statute's written, Mr. Chair, it limits the remedies that can be applied to a dangerous dog. But I think you have more discretion generally on a nuisance dog. You could order a muzzle.
Yeah, but again, I personally, the fact that a dog died, I think does, in my case, for me, rises to a dangerous dog.
If we go dangerous, what is the action?
There's 8.
Are you asking me, Stephanie? This is a two-step process. First, the board would determine whether or not the dog is either a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog. If you decide that it is one or the other, you then would impose the safety action or remedial action that you deem appropriate to basically enhance public safety with the dog remaining in the town.
Pat, is there any legal distinguishment between the nuisance and the dangerous as far as going forward? In other words, if we said he was a nuisance and we wanted him muzzled, muzzled, is that any different than dangerous and muzzled, or, as far as the outcome?
Once a dog is found to be dangerous by a hearing authority, it's like having a criminal record as a human. I mean, it carries with you regardless of where the dog may ultimately be relocated. That will be part of its record, and every town in Massachusetts will have access to that information. So I do think that declaring a dog a dangerous dog does impose somewhat more of a restriction upon its future.
Any other questions to Pat?
No, I think as far as then, my opinion is I could live with nuisance, but I believe the remedy has to be that the dog has to be muzzled when he's, because that's the, in the end, that's the whole point. If he is, you're not going to have these issues.
Yeah, even if he were to run away from him, if the muzzle's on.
Right.
But like somebody said, it's going to be up to the owner to comply.
Right, and that's really.
Pat or Casey,
In either case.
we start seeing him not being muzzled anymore. What recourse do we have, again, going forward? Yeah, no.
So once the dog is deemed dangerous or nuisance, and those are put in place, then it can be like criminal charges, but they're misdemeanors. They go through the courts from there. We would file with the courts that he isn't following an order, and then they would handle it from that point. I also just want to make a note. A dangerous dog, once you deem it dangerous, you can't go back to a nuisance dog at any point. But if you deem a dog a nuisance and something happens, you can always step it back up to dangerous dog at a later date if there's another incident. So just so you're all aware of that.
So Casey, I mean, obviously, this is the decision of this board, but is it fair to ask your opinion, just as the dog officer, or is that not fair to ask your opinion?
I don't know if we can. Let's ask Pat.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry.
Pat, can we ask Casey, our animal control officer, what her opinion would be about nuisance or dangerous?
Sure. Sure. She's your professional staff in that area. You can ask her for her opinion.
There you go.
So as far as it goes, I definitely, I don't think that Mary is a dog that's running around attacking other animals. I do, however, think what it comes down to is a lack of control of Mary. With that being said, I feel like we have a little more that we can do if she's deemed nuisance, because we can kind of put different stipulations on, whereas if she's deemed dangerous, we are stuck with that set list of options. But also at the same time, if he's violating a dangerous order versus a nuisance order, the consequences are a little more severe. So as far as that goes, it's hard to say which way in this situation, but.
Right.
I think, and I now certainly defer to the sense of the whole board on this issue. It's a very complicated issue, but I just worry that sending the message that it's a nuisance dog will not convey the seriousness of the situation, because we have an owner compliance problem here at the end of the day.
I understand it's not public interaction, but as his son, I will make sure he complies with the muscle consultation. We are also looking to move.
You can't. We're already closed the public meeting. No, you can't.
I'm just saying.
You can't. You can't.
Right.
But I can't disagree. I agree with you wholeheartedly about that, Dennis. I totally agree. I think, we could certainly make a motion, see how the board votes. But I think, because of the history, because unfortunately, sadly, what already happened, I don't have a problem going dangerous dog.
All right, so, I'm going to jump up.
Add one other thing. Isn't there a provision
that the owner can come back and appeal at some future date if there's been remedial training of the dog and the dog doesn't, no longer, exhibits the tendencies that we were saying.
But you've already said we can't go backwards once we,
Right, you can't, but I believe that they could contest the order to be totally done away with. I'm not sure of the full process of that, but I know that there is a process that they could do that, so.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion, and then we'll see how this flies. I'm going to make a motion to deem Mary a nuisance dog and require Mary to be muzzled and leashed.
I think it's a two-step process though, Pat, right? Should we do the nuisance dangerous first?
I would suggest that's the most appropriate way to
Yeah,
proceed.
so-
Oh,
No, can't,
I was told
can't.
this was going to be different. I wasn't going to
Can't,
get
can't, go ahead. Keep
no,
going.
what am I doing wrong?
Just say nuisance or dangerous first, and then the second part is what
Oh, that's what I
conditions
said,
we
didn't
put
I
on.
say?
No, you start going into what you want in the requirements. The conditions.
Okay. I thought you meant nuisance and dangerous. Okay, all right. I'm going to make a motion to deem Mary a nuisance dog.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of a nuisance dog?
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Opposed, just for the record? Opposed. All right,
Okay, now I would make the other motion.
correct.
I make a motion that where this board has named Mary a nuisance dog, that we're going to require Mary to be muzzled and leashed anytime she's taken off property. We strongly recommend,
Out of the building.
I would even go
Residence.
out of the
Out of
residence.
residence.
I think that's what she means by property. No?
No,
Oh, okay,
no, no,
okay. Recommend, wait a minute, she's taken out of her residence. We strongly recommend that the owner of Mary, Michael Sita, seek behavioral training with a professional trainer. Is there anything else that you guys would like in that provision that wasn't before us? We don't put in that provision if the owner were to not comply? No.
No,
That'll come back, that'll come back.
back to
Okay,
Casey.
okay.
All right, so, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Second,
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, there we go.
Do you mind if I just ask a quick question on residence, on the definition, because we have a balcony, so would that also apply out of the residence? or
No, if the dog is not able to get out of where you live,
Okay, so just the front door, basically?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, can I backtrack half of a second? I should, when it says any other discussion, I just wanted to address,
Can't do that close.
okay,
You know.
okay,
We're done.
all right.
Can I get a written notice?
Oh.
Do we need to wait
Yes.
around, anything?
There'll be a written decision.
Okay, should we wait around for that?
No,
Or
no, it'll
is
be
it
sent.
just gonna get like sent?
Yeah, it'll be drafted later.
From my understanding, Mary's been deemed nuisance.
She's a nuisance, and whenever she leaves that apartment, has to be muzzled.
That's not okay with me in any way, shape, or form.
Sorry.
We went through the process, sorry. All right, moving on.
Once you guys lose a dog to another dog, let me know if you deem it dangerous or nuisance, please.
Change of corporate name application, Foxborough Regional Center for the Performing Arts to Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center.
Another white man, just dance a block through the fucking shit.
Is there anybody
Keep going.
from the Rodman Center on?
They're going to be on Zoom.
They're already on Zoom? Thank you very much, Pat. Oh,
All you guys are there, so it is what it is.
who's on Zoom?
It should be the Maryland Rodman Center.
Bob Siteman?
Bob and Catherine Miller.
Okay. Our screen just died here.
Right, she's in black, I've got the same thing.
Okay. Oh,
Hi,
I
friends.
see.
I don't know why I'm in black, but I'm here.
There you are. Well, sort
My
of.
video's on, but
No, we can hear you.
Yeah, but we
It
can hear you,
wasn't for you,
so,
it's late.
You want to tell us a little bit about changing the name?
Yep, so in 2018, when we were reestablished, we were the Foxborough Regional Center for the Performing Arts under our EIN, doing business as the Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center. In 2022, we officially, unofficially changed the name to the Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center, and when we filed our taxes in 2023, applied for that name change, which has gone through. So we're thrilled to not be dealing with an identity crisis anymore and be the Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center.
All right, great. And this is in front of us due to the liquor license. Any questions from the board? All right, we'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the change of corporate name application for Foxborough Regional Center for the Performing Arts to Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center at 1 School Street.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Glad you guys know who you are now.
Thanks so much.
All right, good night.
Thanks.
Next, use of public way application, Founder's Day Committee, Committee of One.
Today it's a committee of one, yeah.
Come on up.
Thanks.
State your name, your address, and
Scott O'Donnell, I'm 16 Capone Road. And
Hey, Scott.
I'm the chairman of Founders Day. Thanks, guys. Here today, as the agenda says, we're asking for approval of the parade route again, and go through the route with you if you wish.
I don't think we have to go through the route. We're all pretty familiar.
Yeah,
with it.
it's same again, pretty
Yeah.
much, so yeah.
Okay, you got everyone to sign off.
We did, yes. We had a town meeting, meeting with the town officials, DPW. Paige was there, and police, fire, and everything went well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any questions from the board?
Oh, sorry. No.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
There is an agenda item at 8:45 dealing with the Rocket Drive. I'm happy to wait. I don't want to cut in line or anything, but it's...
Is that under town manager's
That's just a
update?
notification.
That's a-
You're all
yeah.
set.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have to wait, but we still have to vote.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the use of public way application for Founder's Day on June 5th from 9 a.m. to noon, with parade route to assemble at 132 Central Street to Mechanic Street to Railroad Ave to Bird Street to South Street and end at Carpenter Street.
Is that a typo? Founders Day is June 8th this year.
I have June 5th, but we can tweak that for you.
Wonderful, thank
Do I have to
you.
read the whole thing again, or can I just say correction June 8th?
Correction, June 8th.
Correction June 8th.
All right, second.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
All righty, thank you.
Welcome aboard, Bill.
Thank you.
Debbie.
Thank you.
All right, town council RFP review.
Yes, so as you know, Pat Costello has informed us that he's retiring June 30th. So we went ahead and solicited proposals from other firms, working with Pat Costello for him to recommend possible firms to look at. We got 4 proposals, one from Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane, second from Mead, Tallerman, and Costa, third is KP Law, and fourth is Harrington Heap. So what I would suggest is, it's kind of, well, I guess I would ask the board, it's your decision, and do you want to do interviews, or how do you want to? We'll give you packets of the application that they've submitted and to review it. So it's whether, do you want to do an interview, each team, or do you want to read through them first and then narrow down, or just what works best for you?
And, at this point, Steph, I'm going to sort of defer to you, since going forward, you'll be the chair. How do you want to proceed? And we have time, right? We've got till the end of...
Till the end of June.
End of June.
Yeah. Well, can I ask one question? I mean, this board can decide whatever they want, but in the past, I know Pat's been around for a long time. Did previous boards actually do an interview process? Does probably nobody knows here, right?
Not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
I mean, listen, it might be nice to do an interview process, but maybe...
We could do it here. We could do a subcommittee with...
I mean, I can tell you that one of the things I did,
I apologize, I'm going to go after him civilly, I would like the transcript of this meeting. Is there any way that I can get that? I can give an email.
It's on YouTube.
It's
You
on
can get it
YouTube.
right off YouTube.
It's on YouTube, and you can download.
Google FCA YouTube, and you'll come up with all Foxboro Cable Access, FCA YouTube, and you'll find all the things, and you'll see this probably tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
In thinking about it, while it is your decision, I think in talking with Pat, it's also very important that we have the right sort of chemistry, and I'll be dealing with this team a lot as well. So one idea I had is I might want to go up there and just have coffee with like the lead to see kind of what the vibe, what the chemistry is. But then I think you all maybe, so I could either do that first and make a recommendation, or I'm glad to have you consider all four. It's totally
Well,
up to you.
In the meantime, maybe we could look at the packets of all four, and maybe if somebody says, geez, I think packet 3, just not interested at all, and then we could not waste the time of interviewing somebody if someone on the board just doesn't see it, or Paige comes back and says, this one didn't quite sit right with me,
Because
obviously,
I already have preferences, and like, Pat, there's different styles of firms out there. We have Pat, and then there are much larger firms. So it's kind of a choice of whether you want to have a large team, where you might get a different attorney. I mean, you get a lead, but you're going to be maybe getting some movement in there versus Pat. There's a downside there is when Pat leaves, we lose Pat. But it sure is nice to have that continuity and the experience year upon year of understanding some of the nuances, with our licensing, stadium and whatnot. So having that continuity would be very important.
And even though I'm going to be chair, and I'm not usually wishy-washy, I'd give my opinion, but I really think, what does everybody else on the board think?
So my question is, the 4 packets I got, I believe it was, on the 4, how did we come up with just those 4?
We put it out, and they are the ones who responded.
Okay, all right, I thought I heard you say something about Pat, and you talking about.
Well, we wanted to
different
make sure the firms knew, but we put it out on our general procurement. But we did tell a few firms to make sure they knew about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've made this decision many times, and I have no problem looking at the 4 applicants, because if you've seen one law firm, you've seen one law firm.
So let's get the packets.
I'll get them right now, tonight when we leave, and we'll take them.
Let's
each
go
take
over it. I'm okay with Paige maybe going out. If you guys, the rest of the board's okay, maybe a soft interview or a meet and greet.
Then we'll plan for perhaps something, whether it's the full team or, if I say, guys, and I'll totally defer to you, but say, I wouldn't be my top choice. I'll let you guys decide on what to move forward with that, but maybe then maybe I could at least offer a ranking for consideration.
I guess, and I think it would be nice if a member of the board could also do that meet and greet thing, because I think that there's 2 things. Yes, they are going to work with you, but they're going to work with us. I happen to have known Pat for years before he became town council, because I brought him in to do the building side.
Okay.
So I was very comfortable, and I actually referenced him when he was hired into the town side. But I think it's important that it's not just it's kind of like just on the school committee side that we have a legal representative, but it's also representing the school committee. So I see that as the same thing here. So I would say that it would be nice if we had 2 people feeling very comfortable about whoever we're going to have to go forward with.
So I'm going to throw something out, because for me, I've never sat down with any type of legal team to pick an attorney, even for myself. Could I throw a bill? We have some experience. That would you be willing to join, Paige?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's an important.
Yeah.
It's an important distinction, because they represent everybody here. It's not just one side of it.
Does anybody have another thought? I'm just thinking because if you or even you and Dennis,
Yeah,
I mean,
Dennis has as much too.
Yeah, I mean, I just think someone with experience, like I wouldn't say that I should be the person to go because I'm going to be the chair at the time. I think somebody with more experience would be much better qualified than myself.
Well, I think it's up to the board if you agree with that or not. So I just would make that recommendation.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good recommendation. Paige should bring someone who maybe has time on their hands during the day. You retired yet?
Not yet, but I'm okay.
You're okay.
Okay.
I'm good with Bill.
I'm good with Bill.
Heck, we could just give the job to Bill. He found our last town council, he did a great job. Could you just find us another Pat? We'll be all set. It'd be great.
Well, you know what, and just so Dennis knows, I'm deferring to Bill just because of him with municipal and the schools. So just so you know, that's why I'm saying Bill and not you.
No, I think having Bill here, we seldom have a situation where both sides of the organization, the total organization, have a stake in the outcome, so I think that's fine.
Okay, good. Awesome. All right.
We're good.
Have your secretary call his secretary.
Exactly.
I don't have a secretary anymore.
Make it happen. All right, town meeting prep. Well, we don't have to do 9.1.
One thing off the agenda.
They all passed last night, which is really kind of fantastic. We do have to, because there's going to be a bunch of handouts, hopefully you guys had a chance to look at them. It was suggested by, was it Frank and
Frank,
Bob
yeah.
that we approve those handouts? I'm comfortable with them. If you guys are.
I'd like to suggest, go ahead, do you have something?
No, I read them all, and
I'd like to suggest that we make a small adjustment to the DPW one. I think it's important that the way it's been outlined here is all the facts, it's true. But I think what's also important is under the proposal side, when they talk about the fueling station, even though there's kind of a note further down, we should really highlight the fact that the system is no longer insurable, and that the underground inspections are, will not be accepted in the future, and therefore we're taking on, as a community, a larger responsibility without insurance. So right now we are, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do, the town's on the hook for $1 million right now. No insurance because we can't get insured. So I think that's very important for anybody who's going to be voting on this article. And then the secondary part right underneath that, where the garage expansion and the sewer system, as far as washing vehicles, again, we're under an order to comply. We don't comply, then we have potential for fines and other things against the community, and even additional requirements put against us for not complying. So I think if we can make those kind of two notes into that proposal, upper section proposal, then I think it gets a little clearer to people why we're concerned about this.
Yeah. Does the advisory committee cover that issue in their recommendation?
I'd have to go look at that. But I think it's important, like Bill
Because
said, put it at the front
that's a good
center.
place. It's also a good place to insert it, because if there's an oil spill that gets into the ground and leaches out, very, very serious.
All right, well.
I was fine with the other two.
Yeah, let's take a motion with the additions
amendments,
that
yep.
was mentioned by Bill.
I just have motion to approve town meeting handouts with the conditions just mentioned by Bill.
There you
Is
go.
that good enough?
Yep.
All right.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Great. Boards and committees. So now we're, one of Leah's legacies was boards and committees, and making sure that people who are actually on those committees are on those committees, that they are sworn in at the beginning of their term. And so we're continuing that legacy. Katie's done a remarkable job coming up with really pretty much what we hope to go forward with is a set of guidelines, rules, applications going forward. You want to add anything, Katie, that I missed?
Yeah, I think we're just trying to really clean it up and get
Yeah.
it on the right track. So I think with what we sent out 2 weeks ago, we sent out 144 reappointment slips. There were a few, obviously, that I had missed from my 127 number last meeting. And that's just to outline, there are some of our town employees that hold more than one. For example, our DPW director is our OSHA rep, our local water resource management officer, and also sits on CIP. So that's just one example where, some town employees have multiple roles on these boards and committees. I did not hear back from 5 people, which I thought was a great outcome. So those 5 seats on boards and committees, they're kind of spread across. Those will be advertised as open. In your board docs sheet, there's just a list of what will be advertised, by the end of this week by our communications specialist. So we'll hopefully be gaining more applicants to go with our reappointments for May 21st.
And while we're on the subject, there is also, did you have something, Paige, to add?
No, except I just want to acknowledge the amount of work that this has taken for Katie, and every time she looks at it, there's more to do. It is a work in progress. In fact, we found this policy, and we're not even totally sure that whether it was adopted or whether it wasn't adopted at this point. So we have something in writing, and we're looking to just bring it to the next level. In light of Leah's legacy, we want to clean this up, and Katie's done a tremendous job, and so I don't.
So I have a question on that. So if we're not sure that it's been approved by the board as a true policy, I assume we can't find it in the minutes or anything at this point that the board has approved it?
Correct.
Then obviously it has to come back to us so that we can actually make it a policy?
Of course. Yep, so there is what we had found. We did make edits. There were just some terms that were out of date. Also, it had the wrong term end. Most of ours are May 31st, if different than statute. That was edited. And then we did also want to go under, because we are trying to clean this up, we're trying to make the information as readily as possible for all boards and committees to make sure that there's a liaison internally for all town departments with a board commissioner committee, that their minutes are taken, that they're put on the town website by that liaison or their office somehow, however they see fit, and whether they also want to give a copy to the town clerk's office as well. Bob, we did discuss that he's on board with taking whosever minutes they want to submit, but making sure that they are readily available on the town website within 30 days of approval, just how this board operates to keep in compliance. Was there another point?
No,
There was 2 things I noted, if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay. The one thing was that, and I only am noting this because I do know of one situation at least where there is a non-resident that sits on a board. It's an odd situation, but I think it's, when the board was initially created, I understood the whole concept behind it, but years later, not only is the member a member of the committee, which is appointed by the select board, but also is the chair of the committee, but a non-resident. And I can't find anything under the way the policy is written. It would imply that if there was a state requirement or statute that basically made it so that that's why the person would be similar to like the superintendent being on a committee, even though the superintendent isn't a resident of town, but I can't see how this would qualify for that. So the secondary part of it is the thing says that we can only have a person be on one committee. The problem I see with that is that if, as much as I think that's practical, or would be the best if we could do that, we have so few people that are willing to step forward and volunteer. I think it's more important that we have more voices at the table than less voices. So if we can't get one person to be on every one of these positions, but somebody is willing to be on multiple positions, but the position should stay open effectively on the list of the website. So, maybe we make it so that you can be on 2. And if we do more than that, then basically any positions above the 2 would always stay open on the website hopefully for somebody else to step forward, and then that person could be replaced. But I think it's just kind of, I don't want to kind of limit ourselves in not having people sit on committees and get down to where we have two people on a committee making decisions, which I think is a bad situation too.
We did a little bit of research on that. I believe there were 9 people on multiple committees and 1 on 4. Am I right?
12 on 2, sorry. And
All right, there's more than the last time.
it's in your board docs, but
Yep.
there's 12 on 2 and, I'm sorry, 11 on 2 and 1 on 5.
Okay.
So, just a couple of points. Remarkable body of work here. You know, as I looked at it, I said, oh my God. I do think it's really, really important to have these come back and we approve these, you know, as the official policy of the board. Because a lot of committees just simply aren't following these requirements. And if they're not following these requirements, it leads to my second issue. You know, it doesn't appear to be any kind of enforcement mechanism other than when your term ends to what if people just don't do what they're supposed to do and they continually don't do what they're supposed to do. You know, that's our oversight here in terms of the whole structure working and making sure that there's a mechanism if somebody simply isn't going to follow the rules after, you know, continued feedback, what do we do? Just wait till their term ends? Because I think that's
Is you're
the
following the
mechanism.
rules, questioning whether they're showing up or not, or?
I'm just, there could be any number of rules. It could be they're not doing minutes.
Posting the minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
There are some committees that don't post minutes. Yeah, right now, the enforcement is non-reappointment, you know, once appointed.
Right.
You know, it's a policy, we could certainly change the policy of, you know, 1 to 2, but I like the idea that Bill has of sort of a ghost, you know, if you got more than that, having that ghost position open if someone's interested in it, but certainly someone there to fill it in the meantime, because, you know, sadly it is, you know, society is, it's a problem getting people to, on whatever, service organizations, town organizations.
And not to complicate that, but so to say someone was on 3, you would have to find out from them, give us your 2.
Yep.
And then know which one you're gonna, so that it's not all of a sudden, oh, well, no, I didn't want to not step down on that one, so yeah, you
And you
know.
probably ought to check with the chairs of those boards and committee too. You know, I mean, it's the individual, but it also could mess up the boards or the committee's makeup as well. So it
Yeah.
might be a consideration for the whole as well. So
But I
Katie,
think that's a good idea, having that person pick the ones they want, and then the others that are ghosted, if they do get filled, then we know automatically they come off that
Katie,
board.
do you need anything from the board tonight? Because next meeting is the big meeting with the appointments.
Right,
Correct,
so we
so-
do have, like, so with the town board, committee, commission, and group policy, we have edited that to what we think to bring it up to speed. Were there any, we could talk about it some more and vote tonight, or talk about it some more, think about it, vote next meeting? Because we're hoping once we have all the reappointments, we can do a larger board training and say, like, not just like through email, but hey, this is what we want to do, this is how you do it, this is going to be your liaison, like similar to like how I am your liaison, like, and do it as a more like formal training. So we would, I guess that's our first ask if.
So I think I'd ask if we could just all get a chance to look at the policy and see how we'd like to adjust it, and then approve that, make those adjustments at the next meeting and approve it, and then right after that do the appointments. So that way we're clear if there's any issues that we don't, you know, that we want to address in the policy itself.
Especially with 2 new members that just getting their teeth around it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
Kate,
that-
oops, sorry.
But is that okay?
Oh, yeah, sure,
Time-
that'd be great.
time frame
Time-wise, yeah,
wise.
you keep us
Yeah,
on track.
yeah, we
Yeah,
could take,
it's the-
21st would have to be the approval,
Okay.
just to
But
kind
we
of
can
sync up
go over it
with.
and send you any
Yeah, of course,
comments.
yeah. I think just to note would be the minutes and open meeting law section, that would be a big one. The term end date, there's really nothing to do there, you already did that with Bob, and then with it, whether you'd like to amend the 1 or not.
Right, yeah, okay.
And then Katie, did you want us to mention today the open boards and committees? Is that something you wanted us to read out, or is that something we're just going to post on the website?
That's something I was gonna get to more, but happy to.
Okay. No, we don't need to go over it. I just didn't know it was on the agenda, so I didn't know if you wanted to review them.
Sure, yeah, well, might as well, right?
Might as
Be
well.
very-
So
very
people will know
official.
what's available that we know of today.
Okay, so on the Agricultural Commission, there's 1 seat, Cable Television Advisory Committee, 1 seat, Conservation Commission, 1 seat. There are open seats on the Child Sexual Abuse Awareness Committee. Cleanup Foxborough Committee has open seats. The Council on Aging and Human Service Advisory Commission, 1 seat. The Economic Development Committee, 2 seats. The Foxborough Commission on Disability, 1 seat. The Foxborough Cultural Council has open seats. Historical Commission, 3 seats. Our Norfolk County Advisory Board, 1 seat. And our Veteran Service Advisory Board would be 2 seats. And then there is noted for our Employee Insurance Advisory, that is internal, but there are a few representatives that we would need with some of the unions that we have here in town.
Great. A lot more than I thought, too.
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
We will also be holding all of Paige's former planning and economic development seats until we have a new planner, just so we're not doing double the work.
Which I have news, but we'll get
Yeah.
to that.
Everybody okay moving on? All right.
Sorry, I have one more thing. We also are asking the board to disband the Regional Emergency Planning Committee,
Oh, skip
and that's a
that.
recommendation by our fire chief and our town manager's office, since that committee has not met in over 10 years.
Do you have that?
I do.
Good.
I'll make a motion to disband the Regional Emergency Planning Committee.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Town managers update.
Oh, okay. Let me find my notes. Okay, so as we all know, we had an election yesterday, in case you hadn't noticed, and the 3 debt exclusion questions did pass. So obviously, just to highlight how important town meeting is on May 13th, with a possible continuation into May 14th. So the website, Mara's been doing a tremendous job keeping that updated. She just put up the election results today. She's been trying to keep that active. So although I will say we are looking forward to the day when she can focus on the greater communication than just town meeting and the election, but it's been tremendous help having Mara on board. Tomorrow, we have our hearing with the ABCC about olive and mint, so that will be interesting. It's on Zoom, so we have our whole team. We had a meeting today with Pat to prep for it, and it was kind of funny because we were all in the meeting, and then Pat mentioned something about, something about 2 or 3 hours, and collectively, we all went, 2 or 3 hours? We thought maybe a half hour, so we had to block out more time, but hopefully it's not too long, but it will be an interesting process, and Pat did warn that no denial of renewal has been upheld that they know of. So the odds are long, but I think the point was made, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. We have a good case, but chances are it might be remanded back, or they might be allowed to open. But certainly, we've gotten a lot done. They did pay their taxes on May 1st, which is a great step in the right direction. So we are continuing to work with them, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Actually on April 24th, I was up at the State House for State House Day for the 495 partnership, and I was able to visit with Jay Barrows and Senator Feeney's office, so that was a nice visit. I have an update on the benches. We're going to be dealing with those next meeting. Jess Minton from the DPW has been handling that for us, and she gave us a bit of an update. May 21st, all the requests will be into you for review and approval. We've got 14 applications for 15 benches. The Othelette family would like 1 bench for Jack and 1 bench for Marge, so that's why there's different number of benches. We still have 9 more benches available for adoption. We had because we had the 15. And then as soon as we start receiving them, they're under production now, the DPW crew will start installing them. So it will not just be, we won't hold them and store them, we will actually, start putting them in. So sometime this summer, you will start to see a change on the common where there's new concrete pads put down, new black benches with the plaques, so we're really looking forward to that. Also on the web, this week or last week was a discussion about Conservation Commission signs, And we did tackle that. We got a little group together, Heather Harding, Bob Bodie, Diana Gray, Chris Gallagher. We all sat down. I know initially the knee jerk was, well, let's just ask DPW to do it. And that's, of course, what we all want to do, but knowing what DPW has going on for them right now and how busy they are, I didn't want to just cavalier be like, of course, we'll just add more to their list. So we met, and of course DPW did take it on, but we discussed it and came up with a strategy, and actually in the interim and during their busy time, the high school shop is going to take care of the first couple signs we need. So it was a great solution. Chris reached out to the gentleman who brought the matter to our attention, and he seemed satisfied, so we are looking to fix 7 of the signs. We're going to do the first ones right away. The one over at Lakeview in particular, it crumbled when it got picked up, but we do have a plan. And then we did note that, as you know, Jane Pierce has been out, so there's been a little bit of disruption on Conservation Commission land. We just haven't had her out there. Normally she's out there. She's been out since September. So we're in a little bit of limbo there. But we did, as a result of this discussion, I did learn that there's a list of stewards for these town lands. So we're looking to reactivate that process, because right now we don't have a full-time conservation agent handling that. So. And we are missing that ability to sort of have some eyes on the trails and keep things in good condition out there. Word is that the 15 apartments will be opening soon behind the old fire station. So any day now, I believe they're getting ready to rent. So that will be interesting. In the human resources side of things, Christina LaRose is our community response social worker, and we were just informed that the Massachusetts Association of Women in Law Enforcement selected Christina to be this year's recipient of the Spirit of Mass Women in Law Enforcement Award in Civilian Achievement. So she's just due to her outstanding contributions and what she's done, and she's an inspiration to others, including many young women. So she was shocked to receive this, but it's a big award, and we're very proud of Christina. In the not-so-great mood, we're proud, but we're sad to see Captain Andrew Patini was chosen to be the fire chief in Southborough. And it's a great loss for the department. It's great for him. He lives in Ashland. It's good for him and his family. I know Chief Kelleher is, happy for Andrew, but it's sad for Foxborough and the department, so it's a loss. But best of luck to him.
Paige, do we do, when somebody is important as at least your organization, is there a process for an exit interview in terms of why they decided
Typically,
to leave?
we do. I'll have to check specifically with Chief Kelleher. I'm sure he does, but I will verify that. Okay. I mean, I think he knows why. I mean, in that instance, it's just such a great opportunity for advancement, but I wouldn't want to put words in his mouth, so... but I will definitely recommend that to Chief Kelleher. But based on what I know about, the relationship over there with Captain Patini and Kelleher and that whole group, I don't imagine that it's anything personnel-based. Merely it's advancement for him. I mean, he has an opportunity to be a fire chief, and they're fortunate. They got a great guy. But I'll let you know if there's anything to know. In breaking news, we found a planner.
Oh, wow.
I found a planner. Director of Land Use and Economic Development. I'm not going to name her name right now just because I want to make sure she's told her employer. It was just Friday afternoon, made an offer. But we're quite excited. It's good news. June 10th is when she will start. So got a little more time, another month where I get to wear both hats. Also, the Assistant Treasurer Collector, we've made a hire there. So another big position filled. And we always have a water tech job open, but we have a community health nurse, and I mentioned that last time. That's shared and funded through a grant. And then lastly, with respect to communications, I already mentioned that the website is going to be Maura's focus once we get through town meeting and the election. She really hates it. I've heard everybody complain about it as we go along, and she's just come to me after, a month and saying this website just doesn't work. So I said, well, let's make do with what we have for now, but come up with a plan. And so what we will see, it is limited, but we do hope to improve it eventually. But for right now, we are looking to improve our website to the best it can be, given what it is. And then up with town property permits, we have the Boy Scouts. They're having a Mother's Day flower pickup at Town Hall from 9 to 11 on May 11th. And then on the Founders Day is doing their rocket drive around the town common on May 25th from 7 to 1. That's all I have.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
On the conservation agent being out for this period of time, do we have coverage of any kind?
We do. I was able to work with Norton, and their conservation agent is basically serving the Conservation Commission. He reviews the plans, he does site walks, and he goes to the meetings, but it's not enough.
No, I know it's not the
Yeah.
full job, but there is something
Right,
filling the
but we're very
basics.
fortunate he's stepped up for us.
Anything else for Select Board update?
I just wanted to thank this board, including Seth, including Leah. Obviously, Deb and Bill weren't on the board, but just all the nice words, warm texts and emails I got at the loss of my mom. And funny story, I was getting emails from, some people I just knew by name. Dennis himself and his wife. There was Mary Frances McGowan that passed away that was in the Reporter, and I guess people thought that was my mom. And, but it wasn't. Yeah, including Dennis. But thank you to those that either thought that was my mom, or maybe, I think you might have mentioned that I was out because of the loss, or just word got around. But I want to thank you for the kind words from some people who know me well, and others who are just acquaintances or just happen to read about it. So it was greatly appreciated by my family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those of you that don't know, 15 to 17 Market Street got paved.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's what you get when you walk here.
I know. Oh, good.
Walk down that.
Good, they're cleaning
It
it
looks
up.
good.
Good,
Looks good. Now all we need is the street paved, which I know is on the agenda.
It's on the summer agenda when they can get to it, yes.
Yeah. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, good night.